Dating in Paris is like every woman's worst nightmare. A prime example of this is I was talking to a guy I met from an app and we were texting for a while and we agreed to meet up for a coffee date. It was lovely. We went and got coffee and we were having a good time. So he was like, okay, do you want to keep hanging out? And I was like, you know what? Fuck it. Okay. So this was during the daytime and we ended up hanging out in a park for a while, strolling around. And then at this point, dinner time was approaching. I was kind of ready to part ways, but he really wanted to keep spending time together. So I was like, you know what? I never do this. Like, let me just be a little bit spontaneous. He was like, I'm really hungry. Do you want to go to dinner? And to be honest, again, I was not that hungry and I was like kind of ready to go home. But I was like, okay, sure. So we go to dinner and it's fun. The bill comes out. He looks at me and he says, so how do you want to do this? I have never in my life been asked this question.
Man, you could just hear the entitlement in her voice. I mean, the audacity of a man to want to split the bill in this day and age is completely unheard of. At the start of this whole thing, she said she was dating in Paris. And while I'm no expert, how people date over there isn't that different from how things are in other parts of the Western world. With that in mind though, from what I looked up about this whole thing, modern women in France are starting to insist on splitting the bill. But I don't know how true this is, or how common this sort of thing actually happens. I'd imagine that it's mostly younger people who are doing this whole bill splitting thing, but you guys will have to let me know in the comments if I'm way off. In any case, the way she's explaining this story doesn't make it sound like she was too excited about spending time with this guy, so I wonder if this came across in their interactions at all. If you were to ask me, it just seemed like she didn't have anything better to do, so why not get a free meal out of this whole thing?
I was so stunned and taken aback that I literally sat there and I said, what do you mean? I think I just put too much blush. He got a bit flustered and kind of like caught himself, was like, never mind, and pays. Went out on a second date and he did learn from his mistakes. He did not ask me to pay, none of that, just put his card down right away. And I was kind of like, okay, so maybe he's got it. Maybe he's realized the cultural difference. Then after the date, we're strolling along. He says to me, so you're really a princess, huh? I look at him and I say, do you have a problem if I am?
Damn, my boy learned from his mistakes for the second date. But I don't know if I'd describe this whole thing as a cultural difference because this drama about splitting the bill has been a bit of a topic for quite some time. Anyway, him paying for the date isn't a big deal. For me, it's just the entitlement in her attitude. Like this guy owes her something. That's the annoying part. What makes this whole thing funny is, when I went through the comments, it wasn't even guys who were coming after her. It was other women, which honestly kinda shocked me.
I don't understand why you'd expect him to pay. So strange to me.
Why shouldn't you pay?
Splitting the bill is getting serious. Because why would a random guy I met 3 days ago pay for me?
I don't know why people are so weird about splitting the bill.
Yeah, it's perfectly normal in Paris. We usually do split.
Surprisingly, he was actually like, no, I like it and you look like a princess and blah, blah, blah. But then he immediately switches into, well, then what are you gonna do for me?
This is one of the reasons why some women like to go the route of splitting the bill because then they don't feel like they owe the guy anything. And honestly, I think that's fair. Because if a guy does end up spending a lot of money on a date, some people don't want to feel like their money's gone to waste. So they're gonna want to see a return on that investment. And that return usually comes in the form of cheeks.
I'm like, whoa. You think that because you paid for 2 dates that you're giving me princess treatment and that I now owe you for that? After these 2 dates, he asks me to be exclusive.
Whether or not paying for 2 dates is classed as princess treatment kinda depends on how much was spent on those dates. I will agree with her in that just because he paid for the dates, it doesn't mean she owes him anything. So if a guy's not comfortable spending money on a woman he doesn't know or is unsure about him, just don't do it. In any case, him asking her to be exclusive after 2 dates is kinda wild, but maybe that's just how they do things in Paris.
I was so stunned. Again, this man had me gagged. I was like, what do you mean you want me to be your girlfriend? If a man ever thinks that you owe him something for providing the bare minimum treatment, you run. You run the other way, which is exactly what I did.
What can I say? If she wasn't feeling it, the best thing to do is call it quits because this shit obviously wasn't gonna work. I don't know what this guy's end goal was, how much he spent on her, or even how much he actually liked her. Maybe she dodged a bullet, or maybe she let a real one go.
I think I need some advice on navigating the modern dating in the UK. I come from the Eastern European dating culture where the man is the one in charge. The man is the one who's supposed to take care of all the bills at the date. Now, throughout all the years of my dating experience in the UK and across different countries, I think I almost never had to pick up my bill, maybe just a couple of times. Now, the question is, do I still offer to cover my share? Because I do know that most of the time I will never be expected to actually cover it, which I don't mind if I have to, but I probably wouldn't go on a second date with that person. But should I at least show my commitment to participate?
Just like the woman in the video before this, she's never been expected to cover or contribute to the bill. And if that was something that was ever expected of her, she simply wouldn't see the guy again, which is totally her choice. But again, because there's an ever-changing narrative about whether a guy should pay for everything or split the bill, the dating scene's a confusing mess for a lot of people who are just getting into it. Anyway, to answer her question, if she genuinely doesn't have any intention of paying or contributing to the cost of the date, don't bother with the whole fake offering thing. Honestly, that's the kind of thing that really pisses me off. And it's not just about dating. It goes for anything else in life. Don't lead someone on to believe that you're willing to do something if you actually have no intention of following through with it. Or if you do go through with it, you'll hold it against them for whatever reason. Before we move on to the next clip, two people were going at it in the comments, and I just have to show it to you guys.
You can offer, but if they accept, that means they're not interested and you don't have a second date.
Thanks for incorrectly speaking for men.
Oh, we know it doesn't literally mean they're not interested. It means they're not interested enough or in the same thing we are. If they really felt hugely like this could be the one, they'd show it.
Again, no. Why are you speaking on behalf of men? We live in a society that wants equality. So, when a woman offers to pay her share, that is highly appreciated.
It doesn't mean they're not interested. It means they are happy to share and treat you as an equal. It's actually a better sign going forward if a woman is capable of working 50-50, rather than sponging off what a guy can provide. Come on, ladies. It's modern or traditional. You can't pick and choose.
I don't want a guy to treat me like an equal. Men and women are completely different. We're not the same, aren't supposed to be the same, and never should be.
See? The way she ended that whole thing kinda goes against the message that's kind of relayed to men every day about how men and women should be treated equally. And people wonder why the dating scene is a game of struggle these days.
I'm seeing this guy on Saturday and we agreed to split the cost of a place to stay because we're going out in London. But the more he kept talking about it, the more I just kind of got the feeling that he wanted to split everything. So I texted him and I said, hey, no offense, but you're kind of giving off the vibe that you're a bill splitter. So are you planning on doing that just so that I know? And he said, yeah, it's only fair. It's just how things are done now. And I said, oh, okay. I thought about it for a second and then I texted him and I said, hey, listen, I'm used to being spoiled. I can't go back. You're a lovely person. That's fair of you, I guess, but I'm just not willing to do that. Like the place to stay, fine, but you asked me on a date and we're doing mini golf and drinks and food and all this stuff. Like you asked me to do all those things. Anyway, so I said, you have a lovely time. You know, I'm going to cancel like the booking because I made the booking, bye. And he said, no, wait. I'll pay. So now we're going out and he's paying.
Again, another example of a guy who seems to be moving in the direction of this whole 50-50 thing. But she had other plans in mind, and from what it sounds like, whatever they were planning to do in London wasn't cheap. I mean, it sounded like a whole day of activities. If this was someone that I'd never met in person before, there's not a chance in hell that I'd commit to spending all that time with them. What do you do if you finally meet in person and you're just not feeling it? By this point, you've invested so much into whatever you've got planned that you can't even turn back. I also found it interesting that she's used to guys spoiling her, which is why she could never see herself going back to whatever she was used to before. I found it interesting because you often hear people say that once a woman's dated a man of means, it's extremely hard to go back to dating a regular dude, even if she herself isn't in the class that whatever guy she was dating elevated her to.
I know I haven't been talking much about my dating life lately, but I just got back from a coffee date. Did not end the way it should have ended. And let's make it clear, I'm open to discussion. If I'm crazy and off the wall here for thinking this, go ahead and let me know. But I really don't feel like this is out of line. A grown man who is 4 years older than me asked me on a coffee date today, which is perfect. It's right up my alley. I don't want to go out to dinner. I don't want to go out to lunch. Coffee date is literally the key to my heart.
I give her points for going on the coffee date because when you're meeting someone for the first time in real life, that's the best way to handle it, just to see if you actually click in person. But let's see how this shit turned out.
So of course I took him up on it. We met, we were vibing, we were having fun. I ordered a latte, a bottle of sparkling water. He had a latte as well, but his latte took a little bit longer because the server dropped some glassware and had to clean it up. So it took a second to get his drink to the table. The date was winding down, we're ready to go home, and the server comes by with the bill. And she goes, you know what, here's the bill. I took your chai latte off the bill. Sorry it took so long, but it is on us. Like, so sorry about that. Thoughtful, nice, right? So he grabs the bill and he goes, oh, you'd like to split it? Would I like to split a $15.23 bill?
I'm not gonna lie, splitting the bill on a coffee date is kinda wild. One of the main reasons for going on a coffee date, at least from the guy's perspective, is to not waste money on someone you might not even be into or someone who might not be into you. Personally, I think splitting a $15 bill is a bit much, and if that's something he can't easily afford, he shouldn't be dating. And the fact that they even got one drink for free made this whole thing even worse.
Again, it's not about the money. It's about chivalry. It's about a man being a man.
To me, it's not about any of that stuff. I just think that the price for the coffee date was so low that it's not worth making a big deal over.
Honestly, it's a little embarrassing. Even if I'm out with my girlfriend, okay, maybe someone will pay for the bill and someone will Venmo back, but $15.23 to split that? And then to tip on top of that? Ugh, just got the major ick. So of course I tipped the server $10 on my $7 and whatever cent half of the bill was because I was embarrassed. That is not right. She should not have to go the extra effort to even split the bill. It's just crazy. And what makes matters worse is that he asked at the end. So we do this again, right? I don't know. I'm just completely turned off by it. I understand maybe he's trying to weed out like sugar babies or whatever.
To be fair, I'm feeling the secondhand embarrassment from here. And it's kind of funny that the tip was 2/3 of what the total bill was. I know that there can be a lot of confusion about splitting the bill. I mean, that's been the theme throughout this whole video. But honestly, I don't think this was one of those times.
I'm like, this literally is $7. If you can't pay for a $7 coffee, why are you asking me out on a date in the first place? Now you're going to go down in history as the man who didn't pay for my coffee. So say it didn't work out between us. Maybe a few months go by and one of my girlfriends, oh, I'm going on a date with this guy, shows me a photo. What am I going to tell her? Oh, that's the guy that didn't pay for my coffee. You don't want to be known as that. You don't want to be known as that. Be a gentleman. Pay for the coffee. Pay for the $7 coffee. That's all it takes, and there won't be any drama, any bad blood. It's easy, easy.
I don't think she needs to shame the guy by telling people about how he didn't pay for her coffee. By doing that, she could be jeopardizing something that could have worked out for someone else. And while this coffee thing might be an issue for her, it might not be an issue for the next girl. While I think that him trying to split such a small bill was unnecessary, it doesn't have to be weaponized to try and ruin the guy's reputation. Moving on though, there were some comments that kind of went at this lady, and two people even had a bit of a back and forth, which kind of proves my point about women actually being terrible communicators, even though they're always going on about how good they are at it.
If you enjoyed the date, had a great time, and the only reason why you don't see someone again is because they didn't cover the bill, I have to question what your intentions are. If a guy wouldn't see you again just because you didn't let him sleep with you the first night, you know that's the only thing he wanted.
I mean, he's not entirely wrong. And even though I stand by the fact that splitting a $15 bill is a bit much, if everything else during the date was good, Why not see how things go the second time around?
I always offer to pay half the bill. If he accepts, there will never be a follow-up date. He'll be blocked.
Honestly, guys, you have no idea as to how much I hate this shit. It's so childish.
When this happens to me, I go home and report their dating profile. If you can't be a gentleman on a first date, you shouldn't be dating in the first place. And I firmly stand on that.
I would recommend establishing the requirement that he pays for the first date prior to meeting up. This would optimize your dating experience.
But that's the thing. Why would I ask you to do what I think a real gentleman should do? You will then only do it to impress me. I want to see what type of man you are. Has nothing to do with money.
Because communication is an important tool in a relationship. And if you're hoping for these dates to develop into that, you should start as you mean to go on. Worst case, you weed out the guys you don't want.
If you tell them how they should act, they will act that way, and that's exactly what you don't want. You want someone to be authentic and themselves. Then you decide.
But we're talking about what you want in a partner. If a man has the capacity to be that, but doesn't, due to being unsure whether you want that or not, wouldn't it be better to communicate your wants?
I'm fully rocking with this guy on this one. If women are these amazing communicators, why do they find it hard to say what's on their mind? Anyway, let me know your thoughts down below.